morning, everyone, and welcome to the 2024 COMEUP second day. I'm Shane from Korea Accelerator Association, and your MC for COMEUP's flagship global program, the Global IR Stage. I'm truly honored to host all of you here today. Many of you have traveled from different startup ecosystem of the world to participate in this prestigious event. It's almost 150 startups from 45 countries in this year COMEUP. Thank you for making the journey to join us here in Korea, a country known for its dynamic and innovative startup ecosystem. Today, we will meet startups from various countries, industries, and stages of growth. And this stage for spotlighting European startups. But first, let's explore the global startup landscape with Sparklabs, a leading Saudi Arabian startup accelerator. Our moderator today's talk is Choi, Executive Director of Korea스타트업포럼. Now, let's hand over the mic and begin our future talk session. Please give a warm welcome to our two panelists. Please come on the stage and warm welcome, round of applause.
All right, good morning, everyone. My name is Josh from COMEUP. I'm the executive director of COMEUP. Well, I'm actually very happy that a lot of people also visit COMEUP despite a strange situation in South Korea. And also, thanks, Ivan, for making a decision to come to South Korea. So basically, as a starting point of this stage, we're going to explore some kind of dynamics and then also landscape of Saudi Arabian startup ecosystem. Probably some people think, what's going on in Saudi Arabia? Why Saudi Arabia has more and more presence in a Korean startup ecosystem? So I am also very curious about that. So basically, we are going to deep dive into what's really happening in those countries. So we have a great speaker today, Ivan Grlic, the managing director of Sparklabs. So why don't we start introduction about yourself, Ivan?
Thank you very much. Thank you for inviting me. It's a little bit more colder here than in Riyadh, I have to admit, yeah? So a little bit about myself. So I was a serial entrepreneur. I had a couple of great successes, couple of miserable failures, and a couple of controlled failures. Then about less than a decade ago, I started my investment path, and I joined the Sparklabs group. Sparklabs group is a group of accelerator funds across Asia and globally. We have a presence in Korea, Taiwan, Australia, Singapore, Saudi Arabia, and of course the US. Last 3 years, I have been a managing partner of Sparklabs Saudi Arabia. We are currently operating 2 funds there. One is a tech agnostic fund, and the second one is AI-centric fund. Now Saudi Arabia, so that's always interesting when people ask, like, what are you doing there? Because everybody is expecting that there's only sand and camels and oil. Yeah, nobody's expecting that you're going to have some future unicorns coming from that path. And that was the case till about almost less than a decade ago. So I will give you an example. Decade ago, women couldn't drive. Decade ago, you couldn't play music inside of your car. Decade ago, you had to go to the restaurant separately, man and woman. And right now, I think Saudi Arabia is probably one of the most exciting places in the world. Talking about Saudi ecosystem, so what changed and what brought this change? So it was when the Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman came to power, and he actually created a blueprint for the future Saudi called Vision 2030. Inside of that Vision 2030, you have directly mapped how Saudi wants to develop and how they want to diversify from the oil economy into a more modern, stable economy. So now imagine if you, as an entrepreneur, if somebody tells you, I'm here, I want to be here, I have a budget who is actually going to support this plan, you as an entrepreneur should just follow and try to find what are the paths that you can help this plan. So for example, why Saudi is succeeding in that? More than 60% of Saudi people are age less than 30. So it's a very young generation. Saudi, of course, is a rich country. They have a strong sovereign fund called PIF. PIF, for a change than most of the other sovereign funds, like Nordic funds, Chinese sovereign funds, is actually investing most of their money inside of Saudi Arabia. Because of that, the Saudi government has as well established a couple of other government entities that are helping a lot the ecosystem. For example, one of the most, I would say, important one are definitely National Technology Development Program, NTDP. Other one is Monshat. And then, of course, there is a lot of government VC funding done by Fund of Fund, SVC, JADA, etc., etc. But why Saudi is actually thriving? Why Saudi has probably, I would say, on a monthly base, one unicorn listed in Saudi Stock Exchange is because Saudi is a big country as well. So Saudi, you have approximately 35 million population. The whole market is very virgin. So, for example, till about 4 or 5 years ago, there was no buy now, pay later methods. Now you have 5 of them. 3 of them are already listed on the local stock exchange, because Saudi government has said we need to leapfrog in fintech, in AI, in robotics, in all different fields. So let's not have regulation cutting that progress. So for example, in fintech, Saudi Central Bank, SAMA, has created a sandbox when every fintech startup can come and play and not being burdened by the regulator. So I think a recipe for success is less regulation at the beginning, capital, smart people. This is where the Saudi educational system comes very in hand. They have some great universities. For example, all classes in Saudi universities are being taught in English. Only one that is not being taught is religious class and law. So if you come as a foreign startups, your co-founders there are going to be speaking the same language as you are speaking. They're going to be studying the same topic as you are studying. But most importantly, why Saudi is producing so many good startups now is the young people just want to do something special. They just want to be part of that change.
Right. Wow. So you really covered a really wide range of startup ecosystem as a beginning. Yes, but let's reveal all the secrets one by one. All right. Okay. So you mentioned some of the important initiatives funded by government. For example, the financial regulatory sandbox, which is, I believe, working in South Korea, but it's not very working well as some other countries. So I have some questions about the regulatory sandbox, and also you mentioned about the university talents, so the language and everything. So let's touch upon one by one. All right. So generally, the Sparklabs is also a very well-known house in South Korea. So basically, they have a very strong presence in South Korea. So they have a lot of really good examples and also great portfolios in South Korea. And then also, I mean, from Korean's perspective, Sparklabs, outreach to, for example, Southeast Asian countries in the U.S. It sounds like logical for us. But in Saudi Arabia, so suddenly, why Saudi Arabia? But probably you already mentioned about the dynamics and the strengths and the good things about Saudi, startup ecosystem. But from Sparklabs' perspective, what are the really main incentive and motivation for startups to reach out to that region, and what is the really ultimate goal of Sparklabs?
So yeah, that's a very good question. That's a question we got asked quite a lot of time. And if somebody asked me 5 years ago, actually 10 years ago, 5 years ago, I would probably say yes. But 10 years ago, if I ever see myself living in Riyadh, I would say no. Oh my God, I was mistaken, yeah. So when we looked at Saudi Arabia, we looked at it about 6 years ago. And in our opinion at that time, the market was not mature enough. There was not enough of quality deal flow. It was just not what we wanted to do. But we were keeping an eye on it. So I'm coming to Saudi for last 6 years, and I could see every 3, 4, 5, 6 months how things are going like this. So about 3.5 years ago, we were invited by National Technology Development Program to officially come and visit Saudi Arabia, and it was really surprised because I said I was already there, yeah. And they said, like, listen, we would like you to come and help us build the ecosystem. We know what you did, your track record in Korea, in Taiwan, in Australia, and we would like you to come. So we started doing a lot of research, and we came to a conclusion that Saudi ecosystem has amazing founders. They don't need capital. There was enough of capital, maybe even too much capital, because valuations for comparison to, let's say, similar companies in Europe and US were much higher. Okay. What we saw, what the Saudi ecosystem needs, is actually founders from outside of Saudi coming to Saudi. And this is the important part, because how to build an ecosystem, Vision 2030 is around the corner. By that time, we need to create more than 250,000 jobs in technology. Doing that by only investing in local startups, it's a right path, but it's a slower path. Now, if you bring companies, for example, from Korea, from Taiwan, from US, who have meaningful presence in Saudi, who have a market there, who can make a difference, that's how you can help build the ecosystem. So our investment thesis is we invest inside of Saudi founders, then we invest in companies outside of Saudi who want to relocate, and that's, I will then tell more, into Saudi market.
In Koreans, for example, if you look at the fund of funds, there are some kind of conditional regulations. For example, certain portion of the fund should be, invested in Korean startups. Certain portion of the fund should not be to the foreign startups. Do you have a similar, policy on those funds? Okay, so you have to invest in only, a certain part of the startups. Do you have some kind of regulation there?
So we have a different type of, we have various of LPs. Yeah. So our investment thesis is, first of all, we invest in a great idea, the great founder. Now, if you're looking from the AI fund that we have now, that is the recent one, that first of all, you have to tick all of our AI boxes. Second of all, if you are a Saudi founder, we will invest with you very clearly, not a problem. If you are a Korean AI company, to receive money from us, you need to first of all open a regional headquarters in Saudi Arabia. But most importantly, that's not just I'm opening an office and it's a mailbox. You have to actually show that your product can be rolled out in Saudi. And we have to see that because of your presence in Saudi, you can actually then attack more markets, US market, etc. And that's a very interesting point. Let's say, for example, Korean chip design company. Yeah, they are great chip design companies here. But the problem is rollout. It's not the problem money. Money will always follow. But the Korean market is not big enough for them to then penetrate and compete with NVIDIA. Yeah. But now if you put a Korean market plus Saudi market offtake, and then you combine it with Saudi money, then you have a strong competitors to attack the other global market. So that's what we are searching for.
Right, so connecting to that question, so probably nobody actually will only look for Saudi Arabian market because you said in 35 million population, even smaller than Korean population. But probably people expect some kind of opportunity to leverage, the presence of their offices in Saudi Arabia to expand to neighboring, MENA markets. So in that sense, what kind of benefits or support that the Korean startup founders can expect from the government or the accelerator investors based in Saudi Arabia?
Yeah, so for example, we have recently in the last couple of months, so we invested 2 Korean companies and we brought them to Saudi. One was in hospitality, H2O. The other one is in a medical sector called Weizen. What the companies can expect, depending, of course, every company is different stage and et cetera. Let's say with our partner, NTDP, they can expect a relocate package. This means that they can get up to $2 million. This is a new package that is going to be announced, I think, next week I hope they're not listening. So it's up to $2 million of directly grant money that you can get in 4 different stages. For example, if you, on the first stage, when you open a company, you will immediately receive $500,000. Then you submit your R&D plan, and upon accomplishing different milestones, you will reach another $1.5 million. But most importantly, what you get by relocating, you get access to the market. So there is unwritten rule that in Saudi, you have to procure from Saudi companies if you have a choice. So for example, again, if you are let's say you are a hospitality company, it's much easier for you to get a Saudi contracts if you are a Saudi company. Yeah? So that's why regional headquarters is really important. So you don't know. So of course that's a relocate package that it's offered by the government, yeah, by NTDP on the other institutions. Then you have a bunch of accelerator programs like Sparklabs is running as well. Then we can help you then with the whole mapping of the country, connecting you with the right people, and so on. What you said is very correctly. Saudi Arabia is the biggest market in MENA region. So by having presence in Saudi, you can cater to other market. But even more importantly is, if you prove yourself in Saudi Arabia, you will get some of the most sophisticated and the biggest investors who will help you grow outside of MENA region, even globally. Because some people, there was a misconception about Saudi Arabia because everybody is thinking that, Saudi Arabia, there's a lot of money there. I'm going to go and ask for $1 million and I will get $1 billion. It's not the case.
That's the case. Okay.
It's not the case, yeah? Even though there were maybe some cases before. Here now, Saudi money doesn't leave Saudi. Not anymore. They have enough of money already invested in all of the other places in the world. What they want to invest now is in Saudi Arabia. And you becoming a Saudi company, a regional headquarters or Saudi presence, that gives you an opportunity to get that money and then go globally.
So if I understood correctly, perhaps if you wanted to penetrate the Saudi Arabian market, and then you definitely have to become a Saudi company. But I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be really, Saudi company, rather based on Saudi Arabia, but some kind of global startup, right?
Yes, correct. So you keep your holding company. Let's be very practical. You have a startup, you're registered in Korea, and the only necessary thing from you is you will open another office owned by your Korean holding that will cater the MENA region from that Riyadh office. Yeah, so very simple. Yeah.
All right. Okay. So coming back to the issue about the financial regulatory sandbox, which I actually personally very interested because so we also have the regulatory sandbox in a fintech, but I mean also there are a lot of additional conditions. So for example, okay, if you come up with the really great idea, for example, like decentralized ID system and based on blockchain to automate your ID verification, blah blah blah. But I mean there is always some kind of condition. For example, okay, you can do your business only maximum like the 1,000 new clients, something like that. Because I mean nobody actually wants to do this kind of really challenge just to have a 1,000. So what about the year of regulatory sandbox in Saudi Arabia. So for example, if I'm a fintech startup in Korea, and I have some kind of struggling to scale up my business and my technology, and then can I actually apply for your program and then do the test, and then even there's possibility for me to expand to neighboring region. So tell me about how it works.
Yeah, so fintech is a little bit. Fintech in Saudi Arabia and MENA region is a little bit different just because of Sharia compliance, because the regulation inside of Saudi Arabia is based on Sharia Islamic law. So for example, in the case of fintech, in case of banks, they can't charge interest. But of course, banks are working, so you're asking yourself how you're making money. So it's a little bit packaged differently. So sometimes some of the fintech companies can't just replicate themselves to Saudi Arabia because of these special things. There is zero problem of any startup outside of anywhere in the world to come and play in Saudi fintech. What you only need to do, you just need to register as a Saudi company, as you know from your this one, so you can get that. SAMA, so this is the Saudi Arabia Central Bank. Like every central bank, they are of course, they have to be cautious. They are protecting the banking sector. Saudi banking sector is doing very well, but they are on the same page as the rest of the government that they want to leapfrog. So sometimes even if you come and you're trying to explain and they don't understand it because it's new for them, they will listen and they will come back and try. For example, Saudi Arabia has just issued now 5 fully licensed digital banks licenses. So there are going to be now 5 new banks, fully digital ones. So these 5 banks are as well, they don't want to develop all of their products by themselves. So they are actively looking around the world, and especially in Korea, if there are some particular fintech companies, fintech products that they could implement. So I would advise, please come and check it out. But of course, every central bank is, they're not known of being the fastest animals in the world.
Absolutely, absolutely, right. Okay, so the current, VC, context in South Korea is kind of challenging because a lot of venture funds, actual market is being frozen, and then it's getting more and more difficult for startups to raise a fund compared to a few years ago. So that's why a lot of Korean startups, because the players are very interested in, Saudi Arabia's interest in South Korean market, because also we've got some investors from Wild Ventures, and he's actually working around to look for any new startups they can invest. So basically, we are expecting some kind of new money coming from your region. So if I wanted to have an access to Saudi Arabian fund through Sparklabs, it's a really practical question. So do I have to firstly contact Sparklabs in Korea and then go one by one, or directly approach your program? So
yeah, so I mean, as a Sparklabs family, we are in daily communication to all of our offices. So whatever is easier, I would say. Yeah, just to save time, I would always advise just contact us directly. Or of course, if you already have a contact with Sparklabs Korea and you know who we are contacting, that's as well approach. But otherwise, no, feel free to contact us directly. On the question of Saudi money going to Korean startups, so Saudi Arabia really likes Korea. So I don't know if you are aware, but like some of the biggest infrastructure projects like 50 years ago were actually built by Korean companies. If you go there...
Yeah, and actually also Saudi Arabia, the first country for the BTS to have the concert in the region, right?
Exactly. So K-pop, it's actually so funny. So there are some Saudi young women and men who actually speak a little bit Korean just because of K-pop and K-drama and etc. So they really, really love Korean. So there is a strong connection between Saudi and Korea. I think Saudi Arabia is looking what Korea has accomplished, and they would like to replicate that. They would like to have their own, equivalents of some of the biggest Korean companies. So I would say being a Korean startup gives you an extra edge. Yeah. Now Saudi, and like all of us investors, there is no dumb money in Saudi. Forget about that. Yeah. So now every investor has their own investment strategy. So for example, my colleagues in Viad have very specific investment mandate, and they are very good at that. We have our own. So you have to know who do you target, yeah? But please, our Sparklabs, our DNA is Korean, so just use us, contact us, ask us, and we are very happy. If it's not for us, to put you in the right contact.
And absolutely great answer. What about some kind of cultural sensitivity? I mean, is there any points that Korean startups have to really be careful of in terms of culture, like in terms of, I don't know, the Saudi, situation? Because, this goes to Middle Eastern countries, and the culture and everything is still not very familiar to Korean people. So is there any tips that you can actually share with us?
Yeah, so I think that Koreans and Saudis are actually very similar. I really, really believe that. I think on a way how you conduct business, on a way how you treat the seniors, on the way how it's based on trust. I think Saudis and Koreans are actually more similar than people expect. I have questions mostly from the women founders. They're coming to me and saying, listen, I have a great startup. I think its product is perfect fit, but I'm a woman. What can I expect? Yeah. So I would say that this following thing. Okay, let me do it in a way that that is going to be politically and unpolitically correct. Some of my Saudi male friends say, if I had a choice to be born again, I would be born as a Saudi woman, because the government is really trying now to get the women into the workforce. Women are now representing more than 30% of the Saudi workforce. In tech industry, the women percentage is actually higher than anywhere else in the world. So the cultural thing about being a female founder in Saudi, I wouldn't worry. I would say you would be surprised when you come to Saudi Arabia how open Saudi Arabia is, and you really would be surprised. For example, tomorrow we are having one of the biggest music festivals in the world, where we have every possible star from Eminem to Metallica to everything, and you will have more than 150,000 mixed people dancing together. Wow. No cover, no nothing. You can do whatever you want to do. So the cultural difference, I would say that shouldn't be an issue. Okay. Saudi Arabia is really looking into business. So yeah.
Oh. Yeah, that's fascinating, because probably we have some kind of stereotype on the, okay, there must be very strong regulations on the the way you wear, the way you eat, and a lot of things. But I mean, basically, you mean, Saudi Arabian countries really focus on business and business. All right, great. Okay, so a little bit deeper into the program that you are running in the Sparklabs in Saudi Arabia. So what makes your program unique and differentiated from other acceleration program? There are so many, hundreds of startup acceleration program around the world. And then what is the specific, unique strengths that you can actually proud of?
Yes, so we actually replicated our Korean program. Yeah, so Sparklabs, by all metrics now, we are one of the best accelerators in the world. I think our survival rate in last decade is 87.6%. That put us on number one. I think our follow-up investment is above 65%. So we are doing something correctly. We believe that program should be light. We believe the program should be tailored for each company. We don't believe in a mini MBA programs that everybody sits in a classroom and we go over a model after a model. I think our biggest strength is about 250 network of our advisors. And these advisors are not somebody that you just put on a LinkedIn and your advisor, but these are really people that we work closely and they really care about the founders. I think the difference between our program, and I would say there are great programs in Saudi Arabia Accelerator, maybe difference between us and other is we understand the global thinking, we understand the regional, and then we understand the real local thinking. So we know how to connect the dots. If a company needs now local advisors for this, but then it needs a regional, then the global one, we know how to think in that way. And the other thing is, despite Sparklabs being a relatively young company for last 10 years, despite only having its 8-9 countries present, we really function as a family. So if you are a Korean startup or Saudi startup, you can easily penetrate to other markets through our network.
All right, great. Yeah, okay. I think we are kind of covered most of the questions that we prepared, but I mean, just my personal curiosity. Also startup culture is all about, networking, mingling, parties, drinking all night long, maybe. So what about this kind of culture in their startup? Is it kind of the same, or like, what's happening in night in Riyadh?
Okay, this is where that camera gets tricky. Yeah? Saudi Arabia would surprise you. Actually, you have to. Me not being tomorrow on that Middle East weekend is really sign how much I respect you and how much I respect COMEUP, because it's probably one of the best weekends in Saudi. Saudi Arabia is exactly the same as any other country in the world. People hang out, people mingle. Of course, you know, it's you have to be respectful of different stages, different days, but come to Saudi. Come to Saudi.
All right, okay. All right. So I think we kind of finished it, even if we have a little bit of more minutes. But, well, is there any really last comments that you would like to give, or any really core advice that you would like to provide it to any Korean startups?
Yeah. You will not be able to figure out Saudi if you're not in Saudi. So go buy a one-way ticket and go there. And I'm not joking. I'm really not joking. Go one-way ticket, because the meetings are not going to be scheduled before you come. Meetings are going to be scheduled when you are there. Go and meet as many Saudis. Go and have coffees. Go and have this. Meet your clients. Meet your customers. Just go there. You won't figure out Saudi by reading Wikipedia. Yeah. The other last advice is, when you meet a Saudi person, take their WhatsApp. Emails don't function there.
Yeah.
Don't function because they are just the country is running 300 kilometers per hour. Emails are too slow for us. So everything happens on WhatsApp. So don't leave a meeting in Saudi without having a WhatsApp from other person. Yeah. Yeah, that would be the
I
advice.
totally agree. Actually, well, I have communicated with the Saudi delegation for the last few months, and then WhatsApp is the only way that I can communicate. Even email, call, nothing. It's just WhatsApp, right? So definitely really practical advice there. So we've got a little bit of more minutes, so I think the event can still be present here just for a few minutes. So if you have any personal questions, he's available, and because I know quite a lot of people are kind of shy, shy on raising hand and ask a question in public. So yeah, he's here. So thank you very much, Ivan, and those join us. A big applause for him. It's great for his great presentation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Wow, thank you very much.